Hey, I'm Connie,
And I'm Noelle.
and we are product managers on the Data Factory team. We're thrilled to be back for our fourth episode for our podcast series, The Data Integration Station. Whether you're a seasoned Data Factory enthusiast or a newcomer to Microsoft Fabric eager to explore fresh content, we promise to teach you something new every month.
This month on the data integration station, we're diving into the latest AI capabilities in Fabric Data Factory. We're super excited to welcome two guests from our very own team who are going to take us through a variety of AI features that you can start leveraging in your data solutions right now. So get ready to discover new ways to bring the power of AI into your workflows, whether you're just getting started or looking for more advanced insights.
In today's episode, we're bringing in Abhishek and Miguel from our own team, so let's get started.
We're so excited today to bring in our first guest, one of our own teammates, Abhishek. Abhishek, would you like to share with our viewers like what your background is and what you're going to be talking to us about today?
Absolutely. I'm super excited. Thank you, Noel and Connie, for having me here in the podcast. So, today I'm going to talk about the AI experiences in Data Factory and how these can make you super productive.
That sounds super cool. Um, have you always been working on AI on our team, or have you kind of touched a lot of other? I'm sure people have seen you in webinars and in conferences, but um, tell us a little bit
Sure,
more about what
sure,
you've been focusing
sure.
on.
I've been on the Data Factory team for a long time, like well before we started Fabric, when we were doing Azure Data Factory as well. So been there in the team for a long time, and I certainly got an opportunity to work on AI. When AI started to come up, and as we know in this era, it is all about AI and data,
Hmm.
right? Like how we can, make data ready for AI, and vice versa, how we can use AI to make the data ready itself. So AI is everywhere, and that's for good because this is about improving, uh, data engineers' productivity, making them more productive, improving data quality, improving, everything end-to-end process that data engineers have to deal with today. So it's all for good. And I got an opportunity to work on the AI related capabilities in Data Factory. And of course, we'll have many other PMs, including you folks who are working on the AI sections. But I'm certainly happy to share all the updates and summarize those updates as well for folks who are watching this podcast on how to quickly get started with AI and what are the critical capabilities that we make it available for you to be more productive in your day-to-day life while using Data Factory.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, I'll share my screen
Yeah.
and so here's a quick view of Data Factory, and we all know it. From the previous podcast, Data Factory helps us do data movement, orchestrate data, transform data. The storage is in Fabric is powered by one lake, so we bring the data into the one lake, and from there you can do a lot of meaningful things around transformations. You can choose whether you want to do ETL or you want to do ELTs. You have database mirroring as well, where you can mirror the data and then do transformations later on the data that's available in Fabric in one lake. And then you have different deployment or observability options. Now, in this whole journey, Fabric already makes it super easy to get started and makes you, super productive with the visual UI that we have in Dataflows Gen 2, in pipelines and, monitoring experiences and so on. Great job done by the PMs on the Fabric team on that. But now we want to take that one step ahead and make users even more productive with AI-powered intelligence that gets added into bits and pieces into everything, all the experiences that you have done through the user experiences to improve your productivity. And so that with that goal, let's switch into also talk about how these AI capabilities, how are we thinking about these AI capabilities in the coming future? And you will see more and more features coming on these sort. So we use basically the metadata. We also term this as active metadata. For example, when you run a pipeline, there's a lot of metadata that is generated out of the pipeline, basically the
Hmm.
output that you see in the pipeline. These could have numbers around performances. These could have numbers around issues that you face, some error codes, and so on. So what we are doing with these skills, for example, the error explain skill, is you can actually get visibility into the pipeline runs. And you can, using this active metadata, we can give you meaningful insights and troubleshooting assistance and guidance on how to get sorted with that particular issue. So this is where the active metadata comes in, and this will be extended further on in the future when you see we ship more and more interesting AI skills will all be
Mm-hmm.
based on this active metadata. But in today's podcast, what we'll talk about is very simple. How can you use these skills when you're getting started creating a new data flows or a new data pipeline? So when I talk about these skills, I'll talk about both data flows and pipelines. We'll probably
Mm-hmm.
get started with pipelines, and then we'll talk about data flows as well. And data flows is ETL tool. You can use it for ELT for transformations. You can do quite complex transformations using Dataflows Gen 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then pipelines is for orchestration. You typically orchestrate, and you also do data movement capabilities inside pipelines. So you can do that as well. Now, with that, I'll jump into quick demos um, and quickly show you some of the interesting capabilities. So
Yeah.
here's a Fabric workspace that I have. And very interestingly, most common problems that we hear from customers is, what if, I have this monitoring dashboard, but often the challenge is the person who has written these data pipelines or data flows, they are not the ones who are monitoring these dashboards. Sometimes it's a different persona who's monitoring the dashboard. So sometimes when things fail, and if it fails at a wrong hour, data pipelines work, at hours when people are not working, mostly to make sure that it doesn't overload your data systems and so on. So many times it runs in the background during midnights. And if there's a failure in a critical data pipeline, someone needs to step in to troubleshoot that. And so this is
Mm-hmm.
where you see this is one item that has failed, and someone needs to troubleshoot that to understand what is going on in the pipeline. Now, when you step into this pipeline, not necessarily that you're the person who has created this pipeline, and this pipeline now looks quite complex to me. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is there a way where I can summarize this pipeline to even understand what's going on in this pipeline, all right, before I get to troubleshoot this pipeline? And
Yeah.
you can hit on the summarize button. And you can see this is where AI comes in, the active metadata comes in. It's reading through, it's understanding that pipeline, and now it's going to quickly summarize that pipeline for us.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like I've seen like a ton of stuff that we can do with Copilot and Data Factory, but I might have missed this one. This is really
Yep.
cool.
Yep. And it explains me, even if I'm watching this for the first time, the pipeline orchestrates the transfer of data from an ADX, Azure Data Explorer database, to multiple tables in Azure SQL database. How easy it is to understand now what's going on with the copy activity, what's going on with the script activity, and then it goes and dives deeper into the details about each activity, what it does, and it explains me throughout that, right? And then it says that, on failure, it's sending me a failure notification. So at least I now know that someone sent a failure notification when things happened. Now let's go one step ahead and try and troubleshoot what that issue is. So we made the copilots available everywhere. So you can see if I click on this error message, which is the plain metadata, the JSON, may not be very useful, for some, but it's a huge message. It's a huge message. I don't know
Yeah.
how many lines, probably 200 or 400 or maybe
So
1,000
many.
lines. Yeah, it's huge. So now either you can go through this lines and spend probably an hour or two to understand if you're successful. You certainly would be, but then you end up spending a lot of time. Why not just hit the Copilot button here and get some insights through the Copilot? Now, this is where we were talking about productivity. Learning about the pipeline, learning about the specific issue, which you saw, it was more than 200, maybe a thousand lines to be fair. And now it just summarize that issue by looking into the active metadata, the configurations that I have, the issue that I have, and it tells me the error indicates a partial query failure on the source side when connecting to the Azure Data Explorer cluster. The connection was forcibly closed by the remote host, not on our side, on the remote side, on the data server side, resulting in a transport level error. That's quite a lot of insights. I can contact the Custo Data Explorer team, who's managing this data warehouse or Custo. Azure Data Explorer, and ask them to scale out, make sure it doesn't time out, and make sure all the troubleshooting assistance that it gives me, allowing me to say the network connectivity is there's no issues with the firewalls. Make sure that it also points me to the specific Custo clusters that requires attention, right? So it makes it super easy for me to troubleshoot without even having to understand the JSON of the pipeline, going inside the pipeline one by one, understanding all those issues. And so this is where it makes it super easy using the active metadata to with the explain message that we have, explain pipeline that we have, and the functionality that we have around ability to troubleshoot the pipelines.
Yeah, that's so helpful.
That's super
Like
awesome.
it summarized everything so quickly.
Yeah, I also like that it gave you like actionable recommendations to try to fix the errors, and it's not just like spitting an error message to you and that's it.
Yep.
So,
That's
oh, go ahead, Abhishek.
no. So I was saying that's how you can make collaborations. Think of scenarios where you're collaborating with others, and this pipeline and the logic is not, authored by you. But now you are collaborating, and hence you are trying to understand, maybe add more logic to the pipeline, troubleshoot. All those things are super easy with all these AI capabilities and the Copilot capabilities that we have added.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then I guess if someone was testing this out and they went through the recommendations and it works perfectly for them to like help like troubleshoot and like solve their issues, like is it helpful for them to give the Copilot a thumbs up for like our sake? Or because I know that like sometimes like it's easy to get caught up in like, okay, let me fix it and like move on, you know?
Absolutely, and that's a very fair point, Noel. So we absolutely want people to give us the feedback, good or bad. We embrace both because we want dislikes if things are not working as expected, so that we can investigate and fix things. For example, when I hit dislike over here, it'll give me an opportunity to pass in the feedback to the product group, which is to us. And that is extremely critical. We take feedback really seriously, and so if you are able to test these capabilities out, use this in production, and face any issues or have any recommendations for us, please hit the dislike button. I don't hit the dislike if you don't dislike it. But then if you have an issue or if you have a recommendation, please hit the dislike button and pass in a little more explanation about what you would expect. And if you want us to contact you, you can hit this contact me option as well. We are more than happy. We actively look at it. Our teams, Noel, Connie, Penny, myself, will actively look at triage these comments. So we'll be more than happy to reach out to you in case any of these Copilot skills does not meet your expectation. Do reach out to us through the dislike button. There are other means as well to reach
Yeah.
out to us, but this is a great way where people, when they really didn't find anything meaningful, they actually have a way for contextually pass all this information to us, and we can investigate on that. So that makes it easier for us.
Yeah. Totally cool. That's awesome.
Great. So with this, let's move on. So we talked about the explain and the error troubleshooting experiences. Let's quickly look into generate pipeline experiences as well. So I'm going to switch into quickly into my workspace back again, and I'm going to click create a new data pipeline. And uh, the great part here is you saw the explain skill, did a great job. I can actually generate data pipelines as well, and this is very useful, especially if you're new, and if you aren't aware of orchestration pipelines and so on. You can actually go ahead and define activities. And this is pretty great because this is also incremental. So you don't need to specify everything altogether to create a generator pipeline logic. We don't expect everyone to have all the things in mind that you want to orchestrate. But let's say, um, uh, let's create lookup activity. Lookup activity. to look up metadata from SQL Server, and then iterate uh, iteratively copy data from each table coming from the lookup output, right? So I can basically think of my business logic that I want to perform, rather than getting into the details about things. And you can use other words as well. You don't have to use lookup activity. I used it
Mhm.
there. You can just say I want to read metadata from this table. We'll be able to figure out what that basically thing means. And the Copilot will go ahead and place some activities onto the screen. In this case, you saw it's magic. It's giving up a lookup activity, and it names it correctly. So SQL Server metadata, because those are the keywords I used. And then it does a for each, and it puts in a copy data table over there, the activity over there, which will do the data copy, right? And then it goes ahead and asks me for the missing pieces, because I gave it some business logic, but I didn't give it like what data source should I use, what destination should I use in my copy data activity. And so it gives me an opportunity to enter all those things interactively here till the time I complete things. Of course, you can use UI over here to
Mhm.
complete these actions, but the Copilot is context aware of the things that's on the canvas versus the things which are missing, and it'll help you proceed to complete it. And it's very easy because we can do backslash, and that gives you the shortcut. It lists down all the connections that you have, and so you can easily choose connections, and you can say, I want to use this as a metadata table, and I want to use the other database as my source, and I want to use destination as something else, maybe a blob storage or a lake house or a warehouse, right? And here you go. So when you do this, give this input back, just using the backslash, using the IntelliSense, you get all those information into this data pipeline. Now it does another round of validation and tells, great, you gave me the connections, but you didn't give me the table, right? So let me know the source table, and the metadata table and destination table. And once we make this input over here, table name is, I'm just going to give X, Y, and Z, for example, so that we can validate it. And it should basically wire X as my metadata table, Y as my source table, and Z as my destination table. So if I go back here, and it's good to go, I'm ready to run a pipeline. So I built a metadata-driven pipeline, which is using a lookup from a database with just simple business, like high-level natural language queries, right? I didn't have to do
Yeah.
much. And I can verify that because I always want to verify it, because this is a live demo, and it actually gets you the table name as X. That's why we
Yeah,
kept
that's
that as
awesome.
X, right? So you can go into this copy activity as well, and do the same thing. You have Y as your source and Z as your destination. So hence proved, we were able to interact with the Copilot to generate metadata pipelines or iterative pipelines, which is going to iterate through all the metadata that I have in my metadata table. So that's how you can easily, and it's all interactive. At this point in time, let's imagine the next day when you create this pipeline, you come back and you realize, damn, I missed to send a notification at the end of the day. So add um, you know Teams activity to send error notifications on failure, right? Of for each activity, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's like you're instructing someone, and that someone is an expert who's building the pipelines. And you see the red lines coming in now because it can
Okay.
understand what failure means and how to wire up failure into the system. And then it helps you create that activity. So this is how you can easily get started, be more productive, use Copilot, and just put your natural language input in there, and then we'll take care of rest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
it's crazy that you were able to create an entire pipeline without having to touch the canvas at all, really. Everything was done through the Copilot pane. It's cool to see how far it's come.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome.
With this, let's quickly switch into data flows as well. And I love that because um, you can do some great things with the Dataflow Copilot. And I'll show you that in a bit. So let me just switch back to my workspace and create a new data flows, Gen 2. And a few interesting things here is, again, AI experiences are there in multiple places, and you'll see that. So the Copilot specific experiences here can help you get started with the data flow. It can help you create complex transformations, and I'll show you that in a bit. So for example, let's start with a data source, right? So we do have a skill itself. Like if you want to get started with a SQL Server, you can, of course, choose a connection. We have a beautiful modern Get Data UI where you can choose it from. But you can also, use Copilot if you want to chat with Copilot and say, um, uh, create query um, using SQL Server, right? And what the Copilot can do is it can analyze and try create a query, and it realize, before I create a query, you're asking for a SQL Server query. So I need to connect to a SQL Server. So this is where we make it easy to even choose pop out connections that you want to create. And if you had a SQL Server connection, it'll show up under recents over here. And you can just choose that SQL Server connection, or you can go ahead and create a new SQL Server connection. So this is how you can interact with the Copilot. All the UI skills or all the UI experiences that we have are available here as well. But now let's go ahead and do a quick thing. I don't want to use an external data source. I
Mhm.
want to, use AI because AI is smart enough. And I want to say with AI, um, create a query um, listing all Microsoft operating systems, add column for version, day of release, month of release, year of release, right? I'm just creating additional columns, seeing
Yeah.
AI is smart enough or not, right? Um, and description of key features, right?
Hmm.
A lot of things which I didn't know about while I work at Microsoft. I know about certain versions of OS that we created, but you can task the Copilot to create queries as well, not just to create queries against your existing data, but it can actually create using the AI the tables as well. And you can
Oh, that's
see,
awesome.
yeah, it starts from MS-DOS. Did you know that?
Nope, I did not
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, I've used MS-DOS, but I'm still young. And so MS-DOS, you can see the versions, day of release, month of release, year of release. It could understand what I'm trying. Like I could have said date, and it could have given me a date, right? Now I did that based on my user input, and it gives me descriptions as well because I asked it to give a description highlight some key features, right? So DOS is the first Microsoft disk operating system, command line interface, basic file and disk management, and things like that, right? But you can use it for learning now that we have created all the history of things. But this is basically using AI and the knowledge base that the public data knowledge that it already has. But the fun part is that it was able to generate a query in mashup in data flows. Everything is a mashup query. So it understands the functions. You can see there's a function a custom function that was generated to define this code. And so if you are a Dataflow customers, you would understand that you can create custom functions using Dataflows, right? That's a very, very powerful functionality. And then, now at this point in time, if I want to say, okay, merge um, day, month, and year columns and create a single column called date of release, right? Something
Hmm.
of that sort, right? So this is how transformations work. When you start with the source data and you try slicing and dicing of data, combining columns and creating it, making it easier to understand. Unfortunately, it gave me an error. I'll do undo and say create a date release date column by combining day of release, month of release, year of release columns. I, and I assume, of course, that it can understand spell errors, which it does. So you can see now it created a release date column, and it basically combined the three together, and I can see that in a single column, right? So this is where it becomes, super interesting, where it can do transformations on top of it. And then we have a few other things that we have added, which makes life even more simpler. For example, if you're creating a custom column at this point in time, you have Copilot here too, right?
Cool.
And so you can have Copilot on the right pane where you can give bigger instructions. But when
Mhm.
you're trying to do a simple things, for example, create a custom column, and in the custom column, we want to do let's say create a custom formula, and let's think of a custom formula. Do you guys have anything in mind that I should create for a new column?
A new column. What
So
if we split the description into like separate features? Or Connie, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I like the idea of like separate features. We can also, does it have like author information?
it doesn't, but do you want to use the existing column to create the, like, let's call it a single describe core feature in a single word
Oh,
using description column. Okay. Now, it did a lot of generation here, right?
yeah.
And then I'm gonna see if that helps in terms of categorizing of what it tried to categorize. First one was CLI, the second one was GUI, and of course, it stumbled around for the other ones. But then it tried to classify those core features based on the strings in the text that we had.
Yeah,
And
cool.
the point that I wanted to show here was not the accuracy of the core feature definition itself that can be changed, but it gave me a template in terms of how do I define that function, the core function where we can do if and else in it. So the
Yeah.
idea is that you can now define the conditions, the custom functions, the custom column requirements and conditions, which earlier you had to write those custom functions, if statements, else statements, and so on, now can be generated by the Copilot skill itself. So we have Copilots everywhere. AI
Hmm.
experiences sitting in everywhere where you are creating a new custom column, whether you are creating a new data flows, whether you're trying to connect to a SQL server, a data source in modern get data, whether you're trying to query your existing recently used data sources using Copilot. So you have your AI experiences sitting in all of these areas. So that was the demo that I had for today.
Yeah, that's so awesome. It's so cool to see how easy it is to integrate your Copilot prompts into like your work and to like build solutions so quickly. That's so cool.
Yeah, this is
Awesome.
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, then.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. This is so cool to see. Hopefully, people can start to make use of this if they haven't already, or like maybe start to try to maybe use some of these for like some productivity improvements. So take a gander, see how it is. Let us know what your feedback is. Thank you so much again for joining us today, Abhishek. This is so cool and so awesome to see.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Abhishek, for showing us more about what we can do with Copilot.
Now we're super excited to welcome another fantastic member of our team, Miguel. He's going to walk us through some exciting and perhaps surprising capabilities within Dataflows. So if you're familiar with these, or if it's your first time hearing about them, hopefully they will help you unlock some new potential data solutions.
Cool. And up next, we have a very special guest from our own PM team, Miguel. Miguel, I'd love for you to give us an introduction about yourself and a little bit more about what you do in our PM team.
Sure thing. Thank you, Connie, and thank you, Noelle, for hosting me. And by the way, thank you so much for the amazing podcast that you've started as of a few months ago. I'm a follower of it and a big fan, and encourage everyone to check it out. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're already checking it out, but I encourage all of you to share with your colleagues and your network. So yeah, my name is Miguel Llopis. I've been working on Power Query for longer than I want to admit. It's close to 15 years at this point. Been here for the whole ride. And for those of you who may not be as familiar with Power Query, it all started as an add-in for Excel, as a tool that you could install, an add-in that you could install for Excel to help users bring data from external data sources, ingest the data and transform the data to get it into the right shape, or combine data across multiple sources with the purpose of analyzing that data inside of Excel, perhaps create a pivot table, a Power Pivot model back in the day as well, and then visualize and just get insights from that data. Right around 2014, 2015, we also made the bold decision to introduce a new tool as part of Power BI, the new Power BI cloud service or SaaS service that was Power BI Desktop. So Power BI.com, or the Power BI service, is the YouTube for data, the way we envisioned it. Power BI Desktop was the tool that you use to produce those videos that then you can upload and share with everyone to consume. So in that context, Power Query was a foundational capability of Power BI Desktop, again, to bring data in, to prepare it, and put it into the right shape so you can visualize it in your reports. But then the journey went a long way through the Power Platform revolution, integrating with capabilities like Power Apps, Power Automate, so you could do more than just getting insights from your data. And then over the last few years, I'd say 5 years at this point, Microsoft Fabric. And with Microsoft Fabric, really, I'm super excited about what we're doing, because not only it brings the Power Query vision forward, but it also combines it with the vision we've had for the last decade plus, also with professional ETL developer tools like Azure Data Factory, Synapse, and even earlier than that, SQL Server integration services, right? If you want to go all the way back there. But it really brings together the best of the both worlds, the simplicity and ease of use of Power Query with the high scale capabilities of Azure Data Factory. So with that, again, super excited to still be here. I like to be working on this until somebody kicks me out, and that's my plan. But yeah, something that we wanted to show you today is the overall theme for this podcast is AI, right? So I wanted to actually do a deep dive into capabilities and features that we've had in Power Query for at least 6-7 years at this point, perhaps even longer, some of them, that are all about leveraging AI underneath to capture the user intent so that they can tell us a few examples of, hey, here's the data that I have as a starting point. Here's what I want to get at the end of it. Provide a few sample values in a column, perhaps a few sample values coming from a text file or from a web page, and then be able to just have AI figure it out, everything in between. So this is a little bit different than the Copilot capabilities you saw earlier from Abhishek, where it's more of with natural language, you express the intent. Here, you express sample values, and by the the virtue of the examples that you've provided, we figured out your intent, and then auto-generate a program to extract those capabilities. And as I said, if these are features that have been in the product for a few years, so if you've been a Power Query user for the last several years, you'd say, well, there's nothing new here for me. But we learn, and I've learned through many of our engagements with the community and customers over the last couple of years, that many of these features are actually not known by a wide range of our users who are newer, and particularly those who've come new to Fabric, and are just ramping up with Dataflows into capabilities. So I think it's definitely worth a watch. It's about a 5-minute demo that I'm going to show you. By example, data extraction in Power Query provides a no-code, data-first, citizen user-friendly way to extract data from unstructured sources that is unmatched in the industry. Web by example allows users to easily extract data from web pages like the one we see on the left, where a matrix-style gallery can be turned into a tabular structure including connector names, publisher, categories, and products as columns. Using Power Query, customers can simply specify a few sample values for the data outcomes that they're looking for. For example, we'll extract a connector name. With just a couple of examples, Power Query will be able to apply a smart AI heuristics and extract the right data from the entire web page. In this example, we will also extract the category for each of these connectors, which can be done with just a single value, given at this point Power Query already understands the structure from this web page. Last but not least, we will also extract the list of products where each of these connectors in Power Query are available today. Once users get the desired data extracted from the web page, they can move forward with applying any other transformations out of the 300 plus supported transforms in the Power Query editor experience, leveraging a highly visual, no-code experience that invites citizen users to achieve more with their data. In this case, we will just apply a group by operation to count the number of connectors by connector category. Text by example provides similar capabilities, allowing users to extract data from semi-structured text files. In this example, a text file contains customer records in blocks of 5 lines, where the first line corresponds to the company name, followed by the contact name, title, and contact details. Bringing this data into most DI tools results in a single column import, which would be tedious to reshape and clean up by hand. With Add Table from Examples, Power Query allows users to focus on the desired data outcomes and leave the complexity of data transformations to our AI logic. With just a couple of examples on the first 2 columns, Power Query is able to infer the right repetition pattern and extract the rest of the customer records from the file. From that point on, specifying new columns such as contact title is even easier. With just one sample value, Power Query gets the job done. Notice how, after landing in the Power Query editor, customers can see the full sequence of applied transformation steps to achieve these results. These steps can be further explored or customized by users and extended with any other data transformations. Like in this case, we're going to derive a new column based upon the contact name and title from this table using column by examples to generate a very particular format: last name uppercase, comma, first name, and title in parentheses. It's just that easy to transform data using Power Query. And with highly visual capabilities, such as data profiling, users can immediately get a sense for the value distributions of their data. Users can leverage data profiles to understand value distributions on their data, address any quality issues such as missing or duplicated values, or simply exclude specific data values as needed for their scenario. In this case, we will just exclude any customers that have a contact title of owner.
That was a really awesome demo. Thank you so much, Miguel, for showing us and walking us through such awesome capabilities. Kind of wanted to get your take on how my new users might want to start off using this in their own solutions, or if there's anything else within Fabric and the AI capabilities that we're building into Fabric that new users might want to take a look at.
Absolutely. So I'd say I'm a big believer on learning by doing. So if you like what you saw on the demos, or in general, if you liked Data Factory and Dataflows capabilities in particular, just go find a file or perhaps even a website. We've made it super easy for you that you can scrape data from, right? And just try it out and combine it with some other data. Perhaps create some personal project to track, I don't know, sports results, online retail store prices, whatever you find interesting to you, right? Movies, scores for movies, on movie ratings and websites, right? Stock prices, whatever it is, you name it. You can use the capabilities that I showed to do quite a bit, because really it makes all the web data all the data in the web available to you for analytics in Fabric. And just like that, the same goes for text files, or even if you're already using or have already ingested some data using Dataflows, but you're struggling with how to derive values from a column or transform a column, you can use the column by examples capability that we demoed as well to just unleash your imagination for how to get something done. So with that, thank you both again for hosting me, and a pleasure to be here. And thank you all for watching the video.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Miguel.
A huge thanks to Miguel for walking us through AI capabilities and data flows, and a huge thank you to Abhishek for joining us and walking us through the new age of AI and Data Factory with Copilot.
Before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you, so please share your feedback or let us know any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes by commenting below. If you're also interested in joining us as a guest, reach out to either Connie or me. Our contact details are in the description. And don't forget to follow the Data Factory team on social media so you never miss another update on new features and exciting news. See you all next time for the next episode.